Hi everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So this video is the part 2 of yesterday's video, right? So in this video, right, I'm going to show you the video first, and then we're going to get into the responses. So let's get into the video.
Ladies, this is the #1 way to not be unalived by your boyfriend or your husband. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and there is this phenomenon in criminal law where I use very gendered terms in this video, so please excuse that. But this is specifically focused on cis men, boyfriends, and significant others. When you are going to leave your partner, when you ultimately decide, hey, it's time to go, do not do it in person. Do not do it alone. Do not do it in a private setting. There is decades of case law, case after case after case, where the woman decides to leave the man, and that moment that the man realizes she is actually leaving, this is not a threat, this is not, just sort of a fight, that she is actually going to go, that is the moment that, I don't know how to say it on TikTok, but that is the moment when the unaliving occurs. So there's just sort of decades of precedent where this situation has happened. There's actually an entire section of case law in my criminal law textbooks in law school going over cases. They're called the heat of passion crimes. You might be thinking like, oh, but he's different, or not him, or but I love him, or we've been married for X number of years. I guarantee you, every woman who is now the subject of case law in a criminal law textbook thought the same exact thing. So please, I know I make goofy, stupid videos on TikTok, but this is probably like, please take this advice. I know breaking up with someone over the phone sucks. I've been the recipient of it. I know that breaking up with someone over text sucks. I know that maybe doing it at a restaurant or in a public place, but if there's any sort of history of aggression or violence in this person's background, or you just sort of have that sinking feeling where you're like, maybe there's like a 1% chance of like an extreme reaction, please just do it. I'd rather you be a jerk who broke up with someone over the phone who is still alive than someone who is the next person in a legal textbook. That sounds really dramatic. That sounds really extreme. But it's your life and you only get one of them.
If you don't know this, go and watch part 1 and then you can come to this one, all right? So a lot of ladies share their experiences about this whole situation, and I have put some of their stories together to share with you ladies as a cautionary tale, because we all learn from these stories, and I'm so grateful that a lot of them came out to share their stories, all right? But I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it. Leave quietly, all right? Do not let them know that this is what you're doing, and plan before you leave, all right? So without wasting your time, let's get into the stories, and I'm going to come back and talk some more. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.
This is a brilliant video, and the comments are heartbreaking because it makes you realize how alone we aren't. When I left my eldest daughter's father, for lack of a better term, he was extremely abusive. He had put my head through windows, all this stuff, and I was very pregnant. I mean, I was 6 months pregnant, and we were driving home from work. We got into the driveway, and he got out, he slammed the door, and I drove away. I never saw him again. And when he was at work, my mom and I snuck in and took a few things. But yeah, silently leaving is the best. Never let him know you're leaving.
Ladies, this is the #1 way to not be unalived.
Make sure to watch the video. It's down below. I agree with this attorney and content creator 1000%. For context, I am 46 years old. I was in a 28-year relationship, 19 years married, and I finally walked out of that relationship back in May of 2020. I met my ex-husband when I was still a freshman in high school, fairly young and naive, and there were already red flags then, but I didn't know any better, and I stayed in this relationship with this person. And historically, he's had a history of being aggressive towards other people who he thought was a threat to the relationship, as well as he continued to accuse me of infidelity throughout the entire relationship. I learned to pacify, I learned to cope, and there were periods where things were fine and I just never knew when he was going to have one of his episodes. He's also gotten violent with me. And there are plenty of times where I wanted to leave, but I knew this person's character, and quite frankly, I was scared. About 3 years before me actually leaving, I worked with a therapist, and the two of us were seeing this therapist, and she asked for a private session with me and advised me that I needed to see a trauma specialist because she thinks I am in a codependent narcissistic relationship. So if you don't know that, make sure to look it up over the internet, because it's a toxic dynamic that is not very easy for women to leave these types of relationship. Once I gained awareness of what I was going through, I started to see the relationship differently. And then I started to make sure that I was safe, and I, to be honest with you, was already planning to exit, and I was just waiting for the opportunity of when. And while I was in the relationship, I was really hoping that things will turn up and improve and become better, but unfortunately, they didn't. So one day he had an episode, but this time it was an episode in public. We were at work and he started to accuse me of infidelity once again. And to be honest with you, that was my golden ticket. There were other people there who saw his behaviors. That evening I went home. I packed my stuff. Both of my daughters were there. They helped me. It was, there are certain things that I wish I could have protected my daughters from. And I did my best. And, you know, unfortunately, this is how things turned out. But I'm happy that my girls are safe. I'm safe. I was able to leave the relationship. But a little bit after, this person purchased a gun. And he's always wanted a gun, but I've always convinced him not to get a gun because, one, I didn't feel safe having a gun in the house, especially knowing this person's character. And when I found out that he bought a gun, I'd already filed for divorce, and I made sure that I sent an email to my family and I copied my divorce attorney, including this individual, my ex-husband, and said, if anything happens to me or if I disappear, I guarantee you 1,000%. It's this person. Make sure to report him immediately. It's him. So I share this as a woman to another woman. I also have daughters, and I don't wish this on my daughters. It doesn't matter if you think you are with the nicest guy. You still need to think about your safety. You never know a person's character up until they're no longer getting their way. They can no longer control you. There are too many women out there suffering in silence, as well as women who end up in the news missing or unalived because of these types of relationships. So please educate yourself, stay safe, and please listen to this content creator and watch the entire video. Oh, one final thing. If your spouse is accusing you of infidelity, it's because they're the one doing it.
Friend or your husband. I'm a criminal defense.
So I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. I don't know if I'd ever make this into specific parts because my short-term memory / long-term memory is really fuzzy. But I'm going to give a quick intro to the point that this guy is making in this video for your safety. So years ago, I met this guy. Things moved along really fast and we ended up dating and the relationship was really rocky. There was a lot of psychological abuse vibes, and we also did get very verbal, argumentative, to the point where we were like nose to nose, where certain aspects of my life, I feel like, stopped him from putting his hands on me. And I firmly believe that those aspects were the fact that I am a first-degree black belt where I can defend myself to some degree. But again, I'm not saying that he is that type of person, but in the heat of that moment, it felt like it. So we we're obviously living together because why would I be making this video or this TikTok? And if I had enough, because like there was a time in our relationship where I asked, like, maybe we should take time to decide amongst ourselves, like with ourselves, if we should continue this together, and then come back and finally be like, we're done. And I guess he took that as, I'm gonna just go see other people, which again, I let that go. But at that point, I was like, all right, clearly he's going out on other dates. He's doing the opposite of what he asked me to do, in which when we were together, like, he would question me as to why I dressed up every time we went out, because he thought I was trying to get attention from other guys. And then when I didn't dress up, he told me that I should put more effort in myself when we go out. So there was like a lot of that type of mind game shit going on, what have you. And so I sat down with him and I was like, hey, listen, I found the apartment, the living room furniture and stuff is in my name. I'm going to move. Like, clearly this isn't working out. I'm going to move. I even tried separating bedrooms from him. And like, he got so upset and he was like, no, we need to share a bedroom. Nah. And cause I got a 2-bedroom apartment. I found a 2-bedroom apartment, and gorgeous apartment too. And landlord, lovely. But he snapped. Like, he got mad, like super mad. And it wasn't even like a normal fight. It was just like, cause when I say normal fight, there was a time where, like, we would get like eye to eye with each other and like yelling at each other. And I have a lisp. Those who know me know that it comes out when I'm either overly excited, overly emotional. And sometimes I say it, I could say it and not spray it, and he would accuse me every time that would happen, and I get emotional, of like spitting on him. No, I would never spit on another human being. That's just disgusting and gross. But in his mind, he would tell me that I'm spitting, and like gaslight the shit out of me. And so I tell him that I'm moving out. He slams his hand on the table. He's like, well, how am I going to cover this rent? Mind you, he makes more money than I do already. Even though I didn't say that before, but he made more money than me, but somehow all the furniture and stuff was in my name. Apartment was in my name. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want any commitment issues. But regardless, he was very upset. And then he like slammed his hands on the table, and he just immediately was like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to manage this? This, that, and the third. Now I'm going to have to do this. And I'm like, okay, cool. You're still thinking of yourself. Perfect. And so like he went out for his date or whatever he had to do, for his guitar lessons, whatever he called them, or a work thing. But low-key really a date. And, so I knew that, and then like, I can't leave while he's here. Cause if I try to leave while he's here, I'm going to get hurt. Someone is going to get hurt, and it's most likely going to be me. Because granted, I do hold, self-defense skills. I also have to think like physically, like when you're a black belt, I believe like you're not impervious. You know a little more, you're strategic, but you can't hit what you can't see, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I got a hold of some friends, and like I kind of told them we were having like I'm just having people over or whatever, and I had them come in through the front of the house because normally we go to the side. And like he left to go do whatever he had to do, and we were literally sitting in like the little lobby, little foyer of the front end of the house. And then once like my lookout was like, okay, he's gone, while he was out doing whatever he was doing, I had like 6 people like move me to like an apartment literally across the city. Like, we made 2 trips in like 2 hours. Like, it was, someone had a truck, they grabbed my couch, they grabbed my chair. Like, I even bought him a TV stand for Christmas. I took that. It was a gift, but I got a TV. It was a gift for me. And, yeah, it was a lot. And I got my bed, and I was able to move everything in an apartment that was like half the size. But My cat had to go first though. And I normally don't move my cat first, but I was afraid that if I waited till the end to move my cat and he got home, like my cat would have been somehow used to hurt me even more. But it was just a very scary time. And I sat there the first night. The whole apartment was like just disheveled. And I went on apartment viewings all without him knowing. And like that first night I cried because for sure, one, was very thankful for the little village that I had and the people who helped me out, the complete strangers who helped me out pretty much. Not strangers, but acquaintances. And I'm like, man, this could have gone south, but I was crying because it was so successful. So like, if you're ever in a situation, find your tribe, plan. Don't try to have your one-up warrior moment because your life is way more important than that. Be strategic. Don't agree to meet with anybody alone. Don't set anything up alone. Be safe. Be safe. And I know the lawyer in the previous clip was talking about like gendered situations where women like are more likely to be unalived by significant others, but this can also go for anybody who's being abused, like, or in these types of situations. Please be safe and be tactful about it. Think of your life, think of your health, think of, the people who love you, and there are people out there who love you, despite what anybody else may say, okay? Just wanted to share. Have a good day.
I'm in criminal defense.
So he goes on to say that you should always tell your boyfriend or your husband that you're leaving, like, over text or in a very public place where you're safe. And I couldn't agree with that more. When I told my abuser that I was leaving him, I was like, I'm leaving, and he was like, no, you're not, and he was freaking out, and I just, like, ignored him and went to put my shoes on. And anyways, he attacked me, and I never got my second shoe on. And I tried to just go for the door, but I didn't make it to the door handle. And anyways, his plea hearing is in a few days. And I remember I was watching a podcast on abuse, and they were looking at cases of family annihilators, and they found that a majority of the cases that they were looking at, there wasn't like a huge amount of evidence that these men had been physically abusive. There wasn't like reports of domestic violence in these cases. So you might think like, oh, he would never, blah, blah, blah. But if that dude depends on you for stuff, if that guy counts on you to like do stuff for him and whatever, like, you have no idea how he's going to react. And if I ever decided to date again, I would definitely do all my breakups over text.
Yeah. Leave quietly. Again, plan your exit and move in silence. Do not let them get the slightest inkling that you're leaving. Now, there's another video that I'll probably post tomorrow, right? And it's of this guy. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's quite interesting. This guy trusted the woman he was with so much so that he even allowed the woman to be his lawyer, his advocate during the divorce. And she went and took everything from him. I want to share that story tomorrow, right? But it's quite interesting, and it's like the top level, all right? I've not heard something like this before, because she was going to go with nothing. She told him she was going to leave with nothing. He believed her, and he ended up having to split everything in half with her, all right? So these are some of the reasons why you move inside, especially if you are in a toxic, abusive relationship, all right? And also yesterday, somebody shared a comment that stuck with me the whole day, and she was talking about how her aunt lost her life because she told other people in the family. She told her sister who hated her, and the sister told the ex about where she lived, and the ex ended up finding out about the aunt and ended up, unaliving her. So be careful of who you speak to about your intentions, about your plans. Sometimes it's better you don't tell anybody. It's better you get things done before you tell people, all right? You set your plans in place unless you really need somebody's help that you and you're certain that you can trust this person to not tell him about it, all right? But if not, move in silence. Do not do anything to make him realize that you're changing or you've changed or your mindset have changed. Just move in silence, okay? And if you don't have money, get a job. Do something that is going to make you enough money and save as much as you can, all right? So that you can leave and you can also be able to take care of yourself, all right? But like I said, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section, and I'll see you again with tomorrow's video. I think I've said a bit about it, and yeah, if I don't post that video, maybe on Saturday I'll post it. But yeah, take care of yourselves, and protect yourselves. All right, protect yourselves. That's all I'm going to say, because this lady keeps talking about femicide, and yes, it's crazy. So be vigilant and protect yourself. And I'll see you again with another video. Take care of yourselves. Bye. Okay.